Welcome to another episode of Your Partnerships Meets with me, your host, Shane Solomon. I'm joined on the sofa today with Paul. Now, Paul, my first thing for you, are you comfy in this seat?
Yes, very comfortable. Thank you very much.
And there's a reason I asked that, of course. Paul, let's get straight into it. Let people know what you do, what problems you solve for people.
Okay, so what we do, the company is Backworld, and people call me because they're uncomfortable at work. Mm-hmm. And so we have a little look at them and we work out why they're uncomfortable and we try and find solutions. Mm-hmm. And the big learning for me over the last few years is that actually most people are fairly uncomfortable because they've never really looked at their work setup and how they're working. Yeah. And you've got to be a little bit careful going up to a 50-year-old person saying, you're not sitting properly. Or they thought they were doing it quite well all this time.
That's right.
But in fact, is often we're just small changes to how people, how things are set up on the desktop. We can make life a lot better. Sometimes the changes are bigger, but often it's usually something simple, just not quite right.
And of course, this is a common problem, back pain. I mean, you don't even have to be in your 50s. You mentioned 50s there, but
absolutely.
My goodness, I hit my 40s and I'm starting to think, I've not been doing things right. And it's probably, prevention's always better than cure, but I guess you don't get a 20-year-old ring you up and say, do you know what, I've been thinking about my back in about 30 years' time. Yeah. I want one of your chairs. Do you know what I mean? It makes more sense to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there are a few. But not a lot, in truth. But for a lot of those, and obviously the world's changed recently, but traditionally for a lot of those people, they're sitting in somebody else's chairs and they need to be provided for by others. And employers need to look and make sure that they're doing the right thing for their staff. Sure. Or they'll be off early every Thursday to go and see an osteopath, which we're trying to prevent. Indeed, and that's the right thing to do, of course. But is there a law for that? I mean, for employers to make sure that the employees have got the right type of seating, or there absolutely is. There's lots of documentation about what should be provided, and the Department of Health and Safety Executive have require you to provide workstation assessments and provide reasonable adjustments as required. The regulations are quite old, they're not read by anybody. A lot of smaller companies don't even know they exist, let alone what they're for. And there's not a lot of teeth behind them. So we're really looking at the employer to do the right thing by their staff. They want them to sit down and work for 8 hours. They should really, hopefully, want them to be comfortable while they're working, because comfortable people do better work than uncomfortable people.
So who is your ideal client then, Paul? How can we help you at the network to put people in your direction?
We're really looking for anybody that spends a lot of time sitting at a desk and working. Okay. Whether that's small companies that are employing lots of people that actually maybe want to improve the working environment, and we could talk about, you could go into retention. You're going to a lot of people. Recruiting and retaining people is difficult these days. It'll get easier if they feel they're a little bit loved. So we can perhaps love people a little bit better with better workstations. A lot of my customers are small business owners, directors, and they're just sitting at home doing a lot of desk work, and they're looking after themselves and just want to make sure that they want to see that they're doing the best they can for themselves.
Indeed. Now, you've been running your business for a while now.
About 6 years now, yeah.
6 years. So what is the biggest contributing factor, would you say, to your business's success? Because a lot of businesses, when they start, find it difficult to be all things, So what's the biggest takeaway?
And I did, I bought the business. It wasn't, I didn't start it. I bought it from somebody else, and it has grown a bit since I've been there. And I was a little naive. I thought, a couple of Facebook posts and an ad in Devon Life, and that'll be me sorted. But of course, it's a lot harder than that. So I like to do a lot of networking. I am the business. It's only me. So we've put a new website out there as well, and a lot of people will come to me through the website. But it's about me dealing with the client. So I think the networking's, took me a while to learn that, but the networking's important. I do quite a lot of that.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. How important is networking to you, and in particular your partnerships, and what first attracted you to your partnerships? Because there's so many out there. There's different chambers, there's different organisations. But what was it about your partnerships and networking that attracted you?
I think with your partnerships, it's just the variety of meetings, and it based in Cornwall, although it's growing. You can go to meetings up in the north now, can't you? In Berkshire and Sussex, so there's plenty of them. Those not going to be much for me, but locally there's different meetings in towns all over the southwest, and so I can pick, and if I think, right, okay, let's focus on this town for a little bit. We've not done much work in Taunton, for example. I can go to meetings in Taunton rather than just relying on the local paper to do the work for me, which is difficult at best.
Would you agree that your partnerships is a very relaxed networking organisation?
I wouldn't be in it if it wasn't. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a suit and tie person. I don't work well in that environment. It needs to be fairly casual for me and just pleasant, nice place to do business.
And friendly, isn't it? I think just very, very friendly. What about mindset? I like speaking to people about their mindset in business.
Okay.
And what keeps you going, because, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, is it?
It definitely isn't. Not in a small business.
Exactly, right?
Most months, Backworld earns enough to put food in the dog and fuel in the van and make sure the heating's kept on. But the difference between that and it not doing so is just sometimes it's just a couple of good sales, and then all of a sudden
So what keeps Paul going then in those times, and what keeps you focused?
That's my job. I have. I guess it's a bit of. I'm not particularly self-disciplined. I'm not going to sit here and go. I get up at 5:30 in the morning and do my sun salutations, and then go and do a 10-mile run. But I'm focused enough to get up and do my job every day.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got to ask, as a massive shirt lover myself, how long have you been getting into this fashion? Because I'm liking the shirt today.
Thank you very much. Well, because I was coming here, so I had to, I knew I had to make an effort today. And nobody bought me a shirt over Christmas. I've been on Vinted and stocked up myself.
It looks great, mate.
Over Christmas. Yeah. So, no, pleased. It's his first outing. I'm pleased. It's looking, I'm happy with that.
Absolutely superb. Now, for people to get hold of you, now, of course, you could spread out every platform you're on, every website, every phone. But what's your favourite mode of communication? Are you a phone person? You email? You WhatsApp?
I like an email.
Okay.
I've got a memory like a colander.
Okay.
So if somebody phones me on the way here, I've got an hour and a half drives home shortly, and if I take a phone call in the first half of that, I'd have to stop and write it down.
Sure.
Otherwise, it will go.
Okay.
And I'm disciplined enough to do that. So if people email me, it's all there in front of me.
Indeed.
And I can read it several times and make sure I get it right. I just find that's the best way. It's not very personal sometimes, but for getting information across, it's just the best.
See, and this is why I like asking this question, because for me, I love a voice note.
Yeah.
Right? I love a voice note because I'm driving a lot, so I can put the voice note on my Apple CarPlay, play it, listen, and that sort of thing. Emails, I'm terrible on.
Yeah.
For myself. And I think everyone has that favourite communication. But do you want to give your website a push as well?
Thank you. Yep. So the website is simply backworld.co.uk.
Backworld. It sounds like there should be like a jingle for that. Have you ever done like a radio ad?
We did do. Yeah, I've done a couple actually.
Was it like a sung jingle? I just feel
I don't know. I don't think I paid enough to get my own
No,
jingle.
I was going to say, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like
maybe you can sing me one.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what it is, but it just inspired me when you said it, Well, Paul, it's been great catching up with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you very much for all your support to the network. I know that Brock's not here. Well, he is on site today.
We've seen him.
He's Zooming, of course. But really appreciate you being part of the network. And
enjoy it.
One of the celebrities, of course, within the network, and even more so wearing shirts like that.
The grey polo shirts just weren't doing it.
Well, make sure you get hold of Paul. Connect with Paul. You might not need him now, but you will certainly need him in the future. But in fact, what I'm saying, you don't need him now. You probably do, because if you're running a business, it's our responsibility to seat our employees well. So make sure you connect with Paul, a great guy to know. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Shane.
As always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, thank you very much to our very own Jay Kennett here at Corker Media Studios producing the podcast today. We will see you in the next episode of Your Partnership Meets.